So, if I'm not mistaken, every person in this room is a human being, right?
Yes.
In 60 years, we may not be able to say that, but right now we can say it. We're all human beings. And because of that, every single one of us knows what it feels like to be alone. And the most profound thing that we can do, whether it's in our businesses or in our private lives, is to be kind by making other people feel less alone. And the way that you do that is by seeing someone. That's it. By seeing another human being. So I used to be a broker in the City of London. And on the outside, I had everything. But on the inside, I had nothing. I was living the English dream, let's call it. And everything was going hunky-dory, but on the inside, I was wearing a mask. And the mask showed the world that I was fine, but I wasn't fine. And many of us know what that feels like. Is there anyone willing to share with us what it feels like when someone is unkind to us? When someone, maybe you go to work and someone bullies you. Many of us don't want to share our pain. We don't want to tell the person who is making us suffer that we are suffering. We want to wear that mask. And we want to go out into our businesses and out into our worlds with that mask on. So who's willing to drop that mask just for today and to share with us what it feels like when someone is profoundly unkind to us?
I used to work with someone who was a bully, and even though I would handle it pretty well, it was so stressful to go into work every day. I would go into work with a knot in my stomach, waiting to see what was going to happen that day, what was this person going to do to try and cause a problem, or, you know, it was very stressful.
Sure. I don't know about you, but I've experienced that, and it's not very pleasant. When I speak to the kids and the adults, I tell them one thing. I say, well, actually, I tell them many things, but the one thing I say is as follows, and that is that you have the power to change the world. And people sometimes look at me like I'm being an idealist. I am an idealist, but you still do have the power to change the world. And I say that because you have the power to change the world, because to change the world, all you need to do is change one life. That's it. One life. If I'm not mistaken, there are people in this room that have influence over far more than just one life. Whether it's in your families, whether it's in your businesses. You have the power to affect hundreds of thousands of lives with how you act, with what you put out into the world. And the most beautiful way to change a life is to see another human being. And the most beautiful way to see another human being is to be kind. I don't want anyone to walk out of this room and say, the Englishman came to my conference and he told me that all I had to do was be kind. And that if I was kind, the whole world would start singing hallelujah. That's not what I'm saying. There is, of course, no perfection. What I'm saying is that if you make a commitment to how you show up in the world, if you make a commitment to what you do in your business lives, lives can and will be changed. So this is an innovation conference. You may be wondering, why is a kindness expert, I've never called myself that before, but it's the first time, why is the kindness guy coming to my conference? Well, the reality is that kindness is one of the most cutting-edge innovations you can utilize in your personal life and in your business life. I'm not saying don't go out and make money. Make as much money as you want. But if all you do is make money, and you're not going out into the world and changing lives and being of service, then it's hollow. So make as much money as you want, but change lives as well. I did a branding conference a couple of weeks ago, and I gave that line about how you can change the world just one life at a time. And I said to them exactly what I'm going to say to you, that there were people in that room, as there are people in this room, that have the power to change millions of lives. You get to choose whether you want to do that or not. So I was a broker, depressed, uninspired, and I ended up sitting behind this desk for 4 or 5 years, thinking that was going to be my life. But luckily, I stumbled across the movie The Motorcycle Diaries, which is a romanticized version of Che Guevara traveling around South America relying on kindness. And something happened in that movie. I don't know if you've ever watched a movie that you feel like they are talking to you. Like, oh my God, he's talking to me. And that's exactly what happened. And I realized in that moment that there was another way to live. I realized that I could go out into the world and come from my heart, as opposed to just coming from my head. So who's willing to share with us what it feels like when someone is kind to you? What it feels like when someone goes out of their way to say, you know what? You matter to me.
It fills you up from the bottom to the top. You just feel like you're overflowing and you want to share.
Agreed. And the greatest fuel, I would add to that, the greatest fuel that you can give another human being, whether it's on a personal level, or whether it's on a business level, or whether it's on a client level, is I see you. I authentically see you. I don't know if you guys know the brand Spiritual Gangster. Does anyone know Spiritual Gangster? Okay, so Spiritual Gangster is this t-shirt company. They have all these, normally I wear them, but for some reason I'm not today. They have these t-shirts that say like Spiritual Gangster, Warrior, all these positive messages. And for me, that brand speaks directly to me. Yeah? And I feel like they get me. They don't even know who I am. Yeah? But I feel like they get me. And that's the power that you guys have. So I decided I was going to quit my job and I was going to start traveling around the world relying on kindness. I was going to walk from Times Square to the Hollywood sign. I would have no money. Actually, that's a lie. I've already lied to you. well, it only took me 20 minutes to say my first lie. I would have $5 a day. Yeah? That sounded like a brilliant idea when you're sitting on your couch in London, but not such a brilliant idea when you arrive in Times Square and you have no money. $5. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I thought, I have two choices. One is I go home and I say to my father, you were right. May I have my job back? That wasn't going to happen. The second one was get to the Hollywood sign. And that's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you one story. I met this lady in Indianapolis. I was sitting on a bench. She had a 1-year-old son. She told me that she lived in Chicago. And she said to me, you know what? If you can find your way to Chicago, I will give you my only set of keys. You can eat the chili from my fridge, and you can sleep on my couch. And put the keys in the flower pot the next day. My inside voice was like, there is something wrong with this woman. Really. My outside voice was a little bit nicer. And I turned around to her, I said, okay, let's do it. She gave me the keys. I ate the chili from her fridge, slept on her couch, left the keys in the flower pot the next morning. And why do I share that story? Because there are people in this world that come from their hearts. I didn't know that. And many of us don't know that. And if you can come from your heart, specifically in business, you open up so many avenues. You open up your clients' abilities to experience life in a totally different way. Because most of us, we sit up here. If you can come from here, then you don't only change the culture in your company, you change the culture in the world that we all live in.